Hey everybody, it's Party Elite with another episode of Total Breakdown. This time we see Tilo 1111, sorry if I mispronounced that, leading the High Elves against the Bretonnians of BlackAnt. We begin as always with talk of composition and deployment and some pretty interesting thinking on both sides of the field today. Let's start with the High Elves. Princess in charge atop a Moondragon up in the air alongside a Mage of Light atop a horse. The front line consists of 5 units of spearmen. Their silver shields will do well to protect them against the almost inevitable peasant bowman fire, and right behind them we've got 2 units of archers, and then further back a unit of Phoenix Guard on either flank protecting these archers, of course with their martial mastery and armor-piercing anti-large. So in forms of infantry, it's all anti-large here from the High Elves, and to the right in the trees tucked away we've got 2 units of Dragon Princes, and they can creep up and come in for rear and flanking maneuvers, get that extra morale damage in, and a huge charge bonus if they decide to ping-pong around enemy units. On the other side of the field, almost diagonally deployed, we do have Luen Leoncoeur in charge up in the air alongside a Damsel of Life atop a horse. You'll see the main lines consist of these foot squires. We've got 2 units of men-at-arms with shields staying protected from the inevitable High Elf archers, and in the middle here we do have a unit of spearmen-at-arms with shields as well. The Grail Reliquae providing some great morale support in the center, making sure these guys don't get easily terrified off the field and that they're fighting for longer. We do also have 2 units of peasant bowmen with pox arrows, hoping to fire away and slow enemy units down in case, I guess, cavalry's coming in or there's something in the air they want to shoot down. And we also have the Blessed Field Trebuchet. Great call there. We'll get into why in just a minute. But first, let's discuss these 2 Royal Hippogriff Knights up in the air. I don't think we see them very often. Armor-piercing damage, extremely terrifying, able to do a lot of work. So, interesting little build we've got going on here, but let's see how it all breaks down. Now, as I mentioned, that Blessed Field Trebuchet is a great call, and here is why. The Phoenix Guard have physical resistance, 30%. So, hitting them with the Blessed Field Trebuchet at all this range is a great call because you're able to whittle away at their health and remove martial mastery from a distance. Unfortunately, what isn't a great call is focusing on some lowly spearmen instead. Now, the spearmen are a threatening unit still. They're pretty capable. You've got a lot of large units, but the Phoenix Guard are a lot more threatening, so they should have been the focus as this huge sort of approach is taking place. Now, that critique aside, take a look at the Royal Hippogriff Knights here. Great job just scouting away, making sure that there's nothing hiding in the trees over here, and making the approach for the Dragon Princes extremely threatening. They cannot move any further up ahead for fear of being spotted and surrounded and charged into. Now you'll see the Blessed Field Trebuchet firing at the archers, and that's not a terrible call whatsoever. Of course, you want to focus on enemy range support, but again, the Phoenix Guard, they're physically resistant. They'll suffer a lot more damage under the Blessed Field Trebuchet compared to a regular combat situation, and they've got martial mastery. So a bit of a mistake there at the start. I hate to kind of rattle on the same point for too long, but you'll see here we've got that slow approach going on. The archers, of course, now in range, focusing in on the foot squires. Good call there. The most threatening unit perhaps on the other side of the field, apart from the Royal Hippogriff Knights, but those guys are a little far away, so might as well focus in on the foot squires and give a better chance to these spearmen to survive when lines meet. And over here, the Royal Hippogriff Knights circling in, and over here as well, moving forward, almost spotting these Dragon Princes, and again, those Dragon Princes are sort of locked in place there, and as these Royal Hippogriff Knights turn around, you'll see they do spot those Dragon Princes, but they ignore them completely and instead decide to move forward. Now, as they're moving forward over here, you'll see Luen Leoncoeur pushing in towards the princess, hoping to engage her in melee, so she has pushed herself a little bit too far forward, unless she's about to use a breath, of course, and the Blessed Field Trebuchet continues to cause a fair bit of damage to these archers. The peasant bowmen, meanwhile, firing away now as well, using their pox arrows on these archers too, again, just trying to get rid of range support, but I would say those range shots are a little wasted because you've got these Royal Hippogriff Knights coming in for some rear charges. So those archers should have been firing at some of these spearmen up front. And take a look at this wonderful set of charges as these Royal Hippogriff Knights charge in, and they do a tremendous amount of damage. These guys are falling apart right away. The archers have done nothing, and they're already willing to rout. While all the way off over here, you saw the princess get off a decent Moondragon's Breath on the peasant bowman. Again, you want to be aligned to the side. You want to sort of fire your breath down the line. You want to be as far away from a right angle as possible. So not the best use there, but fortunately the peasant bowmen are already wavering and very quickly willing to give up. But in terms of trading damage for damage to range support, those archers from the High Elves were much more well taken care of, let's put it that way. And so those guys are terrified. They're leaving the field, but the Phoenix Guard right away respond. They dive into the Royal Hippogriff Knights, and over here the front lines as well, engaging now. These foot squires have taken a lot of damage before they even meet the front lines, and in the center here we have a couple of units piling in against the spearmen. They have a very high melee defense, so not the best way to use a large number of units, just sending them into the shields and high melee defensive spearmen. Over here you'll see we've got the High Elf spearmen moving off to the side, able to push in for a rear charge, and the princess here dedicated in her fight against Luen Liancoeur, and that is not the best idea. As that's going on though, you'll see the center does get a little bit of support in the form of flesh to stone, making sure their armor stays up, just giving them that extra assistance so they don't take as much damage. Again, I would have actually pushed one of these units and maybe chased after these spearmen over here, or chased after these spearmen over here, just making sure they're not able to get a clean rear charge and cause that morale damage. Off in the distance, meanwhile, you'll see as the Royal Hippogriff Knights try to take to the air, they do get hit by the net of a Mintok. Now, not the best call. The Phoenix Guard are only able to chase this one unit that's still on the ground here, but they're much slower, and as soon as they take to the air, that net becomes completely useless, apart from just holding them in place. Now, these archers here continue to surrender, while these archers return to the fight, firing away at King Luen Liancoeur, trying to do a little bit of damage here and there. The princess as well doing a little bit of damage, but this is not the spot for her to be, and you'll see she's falling apart very quickly, and the peasant bowmen don't even bother firing at her, instead firing into the shields of the spearmen. Again, might have been better to fire on the Phoenix Guard as they don't have shields, but either way, doing a little bit of damage here and there, and once more you'll see the Damsel of Life being activated, using Earthblood, trying to keep these guys in the center alive here, and the princess needs some help as well. She's in a terrible spot. Should have been pulled away, should have been pulled into some safety. You'll see the spearmen here getting a nice rear charge, trying to do that morale damage. The princess gives up and then ultimately decides that maybe she shouldn't be fighting, decides to rout, and as she tries to leave, take a look at the collection of events going on over here. The Royal Hippogriff Knights come in with a glorious rear charge into the backs of these spearmen, devastating their will to fight. In the center, meanwhile, we've got a banishment coming in from the Mage of Light, and that's going to do a fair bit of hurt. Unfortunately, though, it does tuck off to the wrong side, and at the same time, the princess falls, dropping to the ground, taken care of very quickly by Luen Liancoeur. So, a very catastrophic series of events there, mainly for the High Elves, as they are falling apart. Their leadership has fallen, and that banishment as well just roams away and does absolutely nothing. Luen Liancoeur, meanwhile, dives into these spearmen, gets a nice rear charge, scaring those guys, absolutely terrifying them off, while the Royal Hippogriff Knights here, looking for an opportunity to dive into something, decide to go after the Mage, and wonderfully done, just dropping her will to fight, and an excellent move here from the Mage as well, pulling back and using upon herself the Light of Battle, keeping herself unbreakable, making sure that she doesn't give up as these Royal Hippogriff Knights give a terrifying chase. Off in the distance, meanwhile, these Dragon Princes have finally crept out of the trees. They managed to sneak up and are now chasing after some of these peasant bowmen, hoping to shut them down once and for all, while the Dragon Prince is back here closing the gap to the Blessed Field Trebuchet that has quite uselessly been firing away at these archers throughout the entirety of this battle, more or less, thus far. Again, focus in on these Phoenix Guard, providing you a beautiful square target, a wonderful place to shoot at, and especially when they're right next to some spearmen as well. This is a wonderful clump, and the Blessed Field Trebuchet was unfortunately wasted up until now, at least. Unfortunately, with the Dragon Princess closing the gap that quickly, they're not going to have any time to redeem themselves. A lowly 30 kills on the Trebuchet as those Dragon Princes close the gap, and over here, meanwhile, you'll see Luen Liancoeur having routed these units. They're willing to fight again now, but having routed them, decides to turn in and come in after these spearmen as well. The Phoenix Guard respond right away, diving into King Luen Liancoeur, hoping to shut him down, while over here we have the Dragon Princes pushing into that center as the Royal Hippogriff Knights come in from the other side. So beautiful cavalry rear charges from both sides of the field, and now the Phoenix Guard as well, pushing in after having taken care of those foot squires who were already pretty well damaged. But Earthblood goes down in the middle here, helping these Bretonnian soldiers stick and fight back here as well. You'll see the peasant bowmen willing to fight once more, turn around and open fire, while off in the distance that field trebuchet has been completely shattered, not going to stick around for much longer. Rather, they're already off the field. Over here we've got the spearman again diving in, looking to hurt Luen Liancoeur as he is on the ground, and Dwellers Below comes in, doing a great deal of hurt. And take a look at this as well, using the Sword of Couronne here, just trying to get an extra bit of damage through the Dwellers Below by reducing enemy armor. A beautiful combination there, reducing melee defense as well, but that's not going to do a lot when it's just against the men-at-arms. It'll help a little bit, technically speaking, but it's, I think, really about that armor reduction. Again, trying to circle in and provide that same reduction over here to some of these spearmen, and just make sure that as much damage as possible comes through from that cast of the Dwellers Below. So, wonderful combination of abilities and spells there once again, and over here you'll see the Dragon Princess now, having had enough of the Damsel of Life, dive into her and try to take care of her once and for all, while over here as well we have the Dragon Princess chasing chasing after these Bretonnian peasant bowmen, hoping to shut them down. In comes some more Royal Hippogriff Knight charges, and take a look at this. The center completely collapses as fear and terror grips most of these High Elf units. The mage as well, now willing to rout. The spearmen are giving up. The Sword of Couron working absolutely excellently. Leoncoeur against anti-large units, but doing wonderfully, doing a fair bit of damage, but taking a lot of risks at about half health right now, and he really didn't need to be. So in comes an Earthblood again, trying to keep these guys alive and fighting, especially helpful with units such as the Royal Hippogriff Knights, and again, a command unit, because they're going to get more help from Earthblood as they don't fall apart unless they're dead completely. Off in the distance here, we have these archers willing to fire once more again. Great range, so they can fire from a great distance, but unfortunately they've already shattered before I could even finish that thought. As that happens though, you'll see these Dragon Princes coming for some more cycle charging, getting a nice charge into these men-at-arms over here, breaking their will to fight once more, and the Phoenix Guard continue to poke and prod away, and Leoncoeur dives in, decides he has something to say about that, drops these Phoenix Guards' health, but still just above 50%, still managing to keep their martial mastery, and you'll see as that massive clump is engaged in mortal combat, we've got all of these units now pushing together to form up. Again, something we do not see often enough, but the High Elves here working quite well, moving in together to try and support each other, while over here these Dragon Princes and the Phoenix Guard are giving their life away, buying some time for the rest of the High Elf army, and a great deal of damage being done here. The Bretonnians are surrendering, a lot of routes going down over here, but of course the Grail Reliquae is providing some extra leadership support, providing that extra immunity to psychology that's making it take a little bit longer than it otherwise would, and at the same time we do have Stand Your Ground going down, just trying to help leadership, help melee defense as well, as the Dragon Princes continue to cause a fair bit of damage, and the Phoenix Guard as well now just causing a fair bit of damage here and there. Dragon Princes once more pulling back into safety. Again, cycle charging is what they do best, and off in the distance these Dragon Princes chasing after once more these peasant bowmen that for some reason refuse to just leave the field. So good call there, trying to shut down that support there, and there go the peasant bowmen. One unit completely shattered, another needs to still be shattered, and back here the High Elves continue to form up once more. Absolutely wonderful to see that being done here. The Phoenix Guard up front here, though, unfortunately falling apart. They're fully surrounded between men-at-arms and a Grail Reliquae, and even the Royal Hippogriff Knights, though they are anti-large and armor-piercing, those Phoenix Guard don't stand much of a chance. They are able to just snake by, though, and they're trying to reform with the rest of their High Elf brethren as well, while back here we've got the Dragon Princes once again coming back for another charge. And these two peasant bowmen have now completely shattered, so we've got these Dragon Princes freed up as well, able to push in for a charge into some of those units that are tucked away in the trees, and you'll see over here, again, the Royal Hippogriff Knights just picking away at the Phoenix Guard, dropping their will to fight, and the Dragon Princes poke through and do a fair bit of damage to those men-at-arms with shields as well, again, hoping to take care of those guys before lines even meet. And just take a look at the situation here. We've got a wonderful front line waiting for the Bretonnians to come in. Just relaxed, watching, not really concerned. They've got their spears up. If something comes in from the front, they're braced. And then right behind them, we've got the Mage of Light here, providing encouragement, of course, as a leadership unit, able to help with morale support. So again, nice idea there, keeping it centralized, keeping it spread around. And up front here, we've got the Phoenix Guard falling apart, but they bought some exceptionally useful time for these High Elves back here so they could line up and form up and prepare for, well, the inevitable clash. And just take a look at that balance of power as well. The High Elves do not stand much of a chance. These Royal Hippogriff Knights are extremely threatening. Leoncoeur as well, extremely threatening. But back here, these Dragon Princes continue to beat away at these men-at-arms with shields, and now focusing in on the Grail Reliquae as well, while back there, the Dragon Princes chase after some of these units and get them to shatter, while up front over here, Shem's Burning Gaze comes into the Royal Hippogriff Knights, hoping to do a little bit of damage. But unfortunately, the Royal Hippogriff Knights and Leoncoeur both just dive into the Mage and absolutely ruin her day. Pops the Sword of Couron as well, and again, that Mage doesn't stand much of a chance. Neither do those archers, as they have completely shattered already. Drop their flags, they're willing to leave. You'll see the Mage as well, terrified off the field, and the Phoenix Guard not responding. No one responding. It seems like the High Elves have given up. There's one unit willing to rout. A rear charge comes in from Leoncoeur as well, terror kicking into the front lines here. The Royal Hippogriff Knights diving in once more as well, and off to the side here, again, these Spearmen, these Phoenix Guard just dive in, trying to take care of Leoncoeur, but these Royal Hippogriff Knights, another unit dive in now. Again, look at those Spearmen go, just not willing to stick around and fight. The Phoenix Guard over here managed to take care of the Damsel of Life, and in come the Dragon Princes for a nice rear charge over here, trying to get a bit of charge damage into Leoncoeur, maybe scare him off the field, maybe cause a little bit of fear to kick in over there. But you'll see the Grail Reliquae over here now being poked and prodded at by the Phoenix Guard, deciding instead to maybe get involved up front over here, and the Grail Reliquae pushes forward as well, giving chase to these units, while off in the distance the Dragon Princes are making sure that the Damsel does not return to the fight. At the same time, the central clump is falling apart for the High Elves. Phoenix Guard, though, in a decent position here, able to poke and prod once more at Leoncoeur, so not the best call there, keeping Leoncoeur involved in melee against anti-large units, but you'll see those Royal Hippogriff Knights wonderfully just cycle charging over and over again, getting a great deal of damage. Lewin Leoncoeur as well, just taking to the air and cycling back in wherever necessary, whenever necessary. In he comes against these Spearmen as well, just kicking in that terror and forcing those guys off the field, while over here the Phoenix Guard decided rather than diving in here, they'll turn around and take the fight to the Grail Reliquae. And you'll see the Grail Reliquae is falling apart very quickly, and as these Royal Hippogriff Knights and Lewin Leoncoeur sort of take to the air and get their work done, you'll see they are wavering, they are starting to lose their will to fight, and the balance of power has now shifted in favor of the High Elves. So great job there, and you'll see now the Grail Reliquae as well, willing to rout, willing to give up, trying to get off the field, and the Phoenix Guard relentlessly give chase, drop the Grail Reliquae, and now the Bretonnians are forced to land and fight. All the ground units have been taken care of, so Lewin Leoncoeur as well as the Royal Hippogriff Knights are in a position where if they take to the air, they'll very quickly give up. Especially these Royal Hippogriff Knights, you'll see their morale is very low, so if they take to the air, they'll be in a terrible spot here. Lewin Leoncoeur just barely manages to take to the air, but the Royal Hippogriff Knights, you'll see, drop their flags, rout and shatter. They'll be off the field in no time, while Lewin Leoncoeur here forced to fight against a lot of anti-large units. In come the Dragon Princes, a wonderful rear charge here, so despite not having a leader, despite not having a princess to command them, you'll see these High Elves have worked well together, just surrounding Leoncoeur here, doing a lot of damage, and he uses the Lion's Shield, he uses Stand Your Ground, Foe Seeker, everything active here to just try and stick and survive and fight. But in come those Dragon Princes as well, in come more anti-large units, and with those charges coming in, with a full surround coming in, Lewin Leoncoeur does not stand a chance, and like most Bretonnians are probably prone to do, he routs, he surrenders, and a Pyrrhic victory for the High Elves. Now, though this battle was slow to start, it very quickly became intense as Bretonnians overpowered the High Elves. Archers were quickly taken care of, more or less. The princess died far too early, and the Royal Hippogriff Knights did well to rear charge wherever needed and possible. The Blessed Field Trebuchet was also a great pick against an army that might bring Phoenix Guard and other physically resistant units. Ultimately, however, when the Dragon Princes were finally brought to bear, the Bretonnians began to crumble. Range support and artillery fell, and the Dragon Princes responded in kind with regards to rear charges and devastation, and regrouping the forces ultimately pulled the High Elves from the clutches of defeat to the glory of victory. As always, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more Total War content, and keep sending in those battle replays. I love highlighting such intense plays from the community. It's great to give the spotlight to amazing generals such as yourself. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield.